it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I've got some low-tier gameplay for you. I like to feature that every once in a while for the newer players. This is actually a tier 4 and 3, a 5-10, 5 tier 4s and 10 tier 3s. We've got Kapri in his T40, so he's top tier in a TD. Interesting little TD. He's got quite a good azimuth capability. You can see its weapon is pointed way over to the right. That lets it kind of peek around corners pretty effectively, unlike other casemate TDs. Let's talk about low tier just a little bit while we watch Kapri deal with this battle here at the castle, such as it is. Low tiers tend to be one of two things. Most of the game tends to be one of two things, but especially at low tier, it's either a very hard camp fest or a massive spastic push. Usually what happens is you have a number of tanks do a spastic push, much like the hard push up the middle right there, and then you have a lot of tanks like all the guys back on the red line sitting in their mediums and lights and whatnot at the back. The thing about low tier is most tanks are basically the same, especially the mediums and heavies and lights. They're more or less the same tank until you get to about tier 5 where they start to differentiate. TDs are pretty much TDs all along the way, and this T40 has a rapid firing gun that hits pretty hard. TD guns hit hard at all levels, but especially down low they can be devastating because there are a number of tanks with pretty good armor, but the TD guns will shred them. So you'll see that Kapri has moved up into this kind of controlling spot here, and while he's forward a bit, he's not gone crazy. He's not done the YOLO charge in there. So he's very carefully working forward, but not so far forward he can get surrounded. Some of those smaller, faster tanks get by him. He's in big trouble. This thing has okay armor on the front, actually, for the tier, especially in this particular battle, unless he happens to run into one of the aforementioned TDs with their better guns, or some guy blapping a decent HE gun, which there are some of those down here as well. So he's got the Lukes cornered there. There's one dead already. There's another one cornered down behind that building. He's kind of waiting for that to happen. The M5 Stewart's done a nice job on the east side and has pretty much taken that forward part of the hill right there. So he's in good shape. Look at the Lukes has squoze through. There's a shot on him. He's making a run for it. Maybe a little bit better lead fire there, Kapri. One thing I noticed you do is you don't use your full zoom. I would have zoomed in another couple clicks right there. And it depends on what you have set on your settings as to how deep your zoom will go. I have mine set to go full zoom if I need it. You have to be careful with that because you can overshoot what you're trying to look at. And you zoom in so much they actually don't have your target in the scope that you're looking at. So you got to do have to watch out for that, but that just takes a little bit of practice. Looks like that M2 was aiming that big derp at him, and that would have been trouble had he got that off and connected, but he's able to take him down, understanding that his reload is inside, probably both that guy's reload and his zoom. And now we're kind of hanging out. And this is fairly typical mid-game of these low-tier games. You've got a bunch of campers in the back and only a couple people forward. And what Kapri has to be careful of right here is pushing into dudes who are hanging out in bushes, because you know the rest of theirs aren't spotted either, other than the SU and the T29. So the rest of them are doing the same thing that Kapri's team is doing, hanging out in bushes in the very back with no real plan or idea of what to do. So we're going to go forward a bit. Kapri comes around the corner. Kapri, I would not have come up this way on this map. I would have come through that opening over here, as opposed to exposing myself to whatever might actually be in the buildings over here. There are 2 artillery on the enemy team, so this was a fairly dangerous move. I just want to show as he approaches this way. I might have peeked around the corner down low, right down there. But as you come in here, you're actually going to go to the middle of the road. And again, I'd have either hugged this wall or this wall, and probably this wall just to minimize any shots from in here, because I'm looking to see if anybody's over in those bushes there. As it is, you sort of expose yourself to both by just driving up the middle right here. Finally, some guys are incentivized to move up. Looks like the T29 has decided to join the fight and move forward. The M2 and the M8A1 are still back. The other thing about, well, there's many things, but one of the important things about this low level and low tier is you will notice that, let's get to this in just a minute, you will notice that his view range is very small. And the T29 has a much better view range, as does the M2 and even the M8A1, I believe. So he's going to have trouble spotting guys. And he pretty much drove right up on this Panzer 1C. How this Panzer 1C did not absolutely shred him, I do not know. That thing would have hit me with nearly every shot if it was me, but he comes down, puts some front armor to him, and is actually able to make some miss, make some bounce. No artillery has hit him. Nicely done with the track. It's lucky right there. Again, just look at those misses. I don't even... Did he get hit by one? He didn't even get hit by one. Some kind of crazy arcane shield came up and saved Kapri from being gunned down by the Panzer 1C. That was probably the most dangerous thing that happened to him the entire game, is running into what should have been his doom, but he's got 890 damage, 283 block, 283 block. That's pretty amazing. And now he's coming around the corner, looking to see if there's anybody in these trees down here. And I like this because when Kapri sent me this replay, said, hey, look, here's me being a little more aggressive even in my TDs. And first I went, uh-oh, here we go. He's going to YOLO forward, but that's not what he did. Took a forward position to support, killed their forward guys, is carefully moving up. It would be super nice if he had an M2 or an M8A1 or somebody. The T29 is hiding with the artillery. Is that what's going on back there? Yep. So it would be really nice if one of those guys came up with their better view range, because if they got in one of these forward bushes here, they might actually see the guys that are probably camping down here. That being said, Kapri, these bushes are a little closer over to what you're looking for on this back edge, so I might have moved there once I didn't see anything in this spot here. There's some calm right there. You can see it go by. He's trying to entice the mediums to, would you, for the love of God, move up and help me here so we can win this game. That would be fantastic. Thank you. That Su-76M has managed to live. The Stewart was mentioning earlier that he's taken artillery fire, so they're probably artillery. No, he's there, so they've taken a couple shots at him. And he's down to hit points. He's not able to get rid of this Su-76. There may even be another TD back there in the northeast corner on the A9 or 0 line somewhere as well. So this goes on for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom speed here. Here we go. I had it going slow for some reason, so we're going to speed this thing up to 2 times. 4 times. Here we go. There they are. Down goes the 76. Kapri looks. Finally, here comes the mediums. And you can see I'm at 4 times speed. You can see how long it takes for some people to kind of realize what they need to do. So we're going to move in. There goes the T29. So he goes by. The M2 moves into the middle. T29 moves over here. It's Destroyer 999 2015. Finally up to where he needs to be. And now they've got some crossfire and supporting fire set up. And now all we got to do is find some targets. And you can see that the enemy team is very much not interested in doing any kind of pushing. They're simply going to hide in bushes. The green team has very good map control. So new players, this is low tier. But at the end game here, the green team has a lot of map control. They just have to be careful about driving into unspotted tanks and getting taken out. But the good news is they've got all the maneuver room. The greens have all the maneuver room. The M2's moving up, looking for anything in the middle. That's pretty good cover. And unless he runs into 3 or 4 of them sitting there, he should be in decent shape. Kapri watches him move forward. He has moved into a spot to support the M2. And there they are. Gets a shot on him. Just a little bit of shaky gunnery right there. This T29 ends up living, unfortunately. The M2 takes a shot. You're really glommed on to the T29. I'm wondering if you had a shot on this guy over here. No, but yep, you did. So there was a shot on this guy. As you zoomed in a little bit more, there's another guy over here also potentially have a shot on, and you're really fixated on the T29, and unfortunately, you don't get any of them dead right there. So maybe just a little bit of mismanagement on target priority. Again, I would have zoomed in some more. You could have refined those shots just a little bit better, and they might have been down a T29 right there, instead of you down a M2 and them down nothing. Very kind. He says, thank you, M2, but the M2 ends up dying. I think if the M2 would have been smart, instead of pushing in and trying to take those guys on, what he really needed to do was just light them up and then hide and let the crossfire work on them. T29 is still sitting back there. This is going to take a while to develop. Let's go ahead and zoom this forward a little bit. The M8A1 dies. That does not help very much. And isn't that interesting right there? As soon as the T29 came around that corner and got his better spotting range, they lit up the 105. It's possible that the AMX 105 AM had fired also. But if you look at it, a little bit of his tank is showing there, unknown if he's really hidden behind that. But in any event, finally, a good example of moving forward enough that you start to spot the guys hiding in bushes. And that was a good kill. Now their artillery is all dead, and that is very good indeed. That means that Kapri can take shots and move back into cover and not be as worried of being killed by somebody who doesn't need line of sight. Destroyer rages in. And just again, fine-tuning that shot with a little more zoom might have helped. It's a destructible building, so he takes it down, removes the cover for that guy. Misses again. Or that maybe that was a bounce, actually. Kapri, I might have moved forward up into that bush so that you were a little bit closer. Although looking at your spotting range, it's so far away, it would have taken quite a push to finally get him. And then there's another shot or two he gets on the SAV, but it goes down to, again, not using the full zoom, taking very long-range shots and kind of missing. I think he got one hit on it, but weren't able to kill him. Still, though, 5 kills, 1,155 damage, 283 blocked with the Panzer 1C, which blew my mind right there. Pretty funny. But a pretty good example of low-tier gameplay for you new players who are working through those tiers, where if you're careful, if you're cautiously aggressive, you'll end up at the end of the game with the ability to win the game, as opposed to being either over-aggressive or over-passive and kind of giving up whether the game is won or lost to your allies or to the enemy. And that is a very large reason in this game why newer players come up with the idea that it's all rigged. It's because they die, they don't really know why they die, they don't really understand positioning or the idea that I need to blast in the game. A lot of games that people play these days have respawn and healing and other things like that that kind of cover up major early mistakes because they're able to recover from it, or the design of the game is such that those kind of mistakes don't matter. If you run out and die, you respawn, so who cares? Just depends on the game design. But in this game, because there is no hit point recoup mechanism or respawn, early mistakes matter, early positions matter more so than in most online games. And getting yourself to the end of the game where you still have the ability to influence is not easy. And it's very easy to see then for new players and intermediate players to start to think that it's all rigged against me and there's nothing I can do. When in fact, there is quite a lot you can do. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. I do appreciate that. Kapri, thanks for sending in the replay. Good low-level replay for people to learn from. We will see you.